Hi everyone, this is Teresa with Owl's Nest Quilters, and today's foot demonstration is on the ruffler foot. Alright, so this is the brother ruffler foot, so I'm going to unpackage it for you here on the video. We simply slide off the back. I'm going to take all this packaging out. And here's our foot. Now it looks intimidating, and a lot of people are intimidated by this foot, but it's actually really easy. You may not believe it, but it's actually a simple clip-on foot. So there's no need for an extra shank, an adapter, or anything for this foot. If your machine is a clip-on foot, this will fit it. So I want to show you a couple special things about the foot. There's a gauge at the top here. This gauge will tell the machine how many stitches to take, how many times the needle plants. You can do it once, you can do it every 6 or every 12, or not at all. The star here just simply means that the machine will take a stitch every time the needle bar goes up and down. So you can set this for as tight or as loose of a pleat as you want. This right here will change the length of those stitches. You don't actually change the length here. This is how deep of a pleat you're going to get. So when you set these two things, it's really a good idea to set it to what you think you want and then stitch it out and see if it actually works out that way. It's really difficult to preset things unless you've done it before and you know exactly what you want. So there's also a couple of places on the back here. If your needle sits in an unusual place on your machine, you can actually loosen this screw and move the foot forwards and backwards. You can do that, or you can loosen this screw and move this part of the foot side to side. This actually moves the foot side to side. So even if you don't have a brother, but your machine uses clip-on feet, there's a pretty good chance you can set this up to use for your machine. So what I'll do now, again, a simple clip-on foot, so I'm going to push the back lever on my regular foot here and just take this off. The other thing you want to be mindful of is this little fork here has to go around the needle bar screw. This is similar to some walking feet in that the needle bar screw fits in here. That's actually what makes the pleater move. That's actually what will make this pleating system work. So you can see as the needle goes up and down, the pleater, this is the pleater plate here. This will go back and forth and kick in the pleats. So you want to be sure this goes around that needle bar plate right here. Then we just slide this under. And we're going to clip that foot on. I like to be sure that the needle is actually in that opening. So one thing I'll do, and I always turn my hand wheel towards me to make sure that I don't lock anything up. So I'm going to turn, and you can see that my needle goes right down in that opening. So I like to be sure that happens before I begin to sew. I'm going to set this up so that my kick pleat goes in every 6 stitches. So my pleater will kick in a pleat every 6 stitches. So that's what this gauge is set at. I'm going to leave this at the setting that it's already in. This is how deep the pleats will go. And we're going to try this out and see how it works. So there's a couple of different things you can do with your, to make your ruffle. If you have a piece of fabric and you want to clean finish the edge either by turning it and stitching it, or you could do a rolled hem on your serger, you can do that. If you want a ruffle that's only 1 layer thick, so you can do 1 layer, or the other thing you can do is you can pleat with 2 layers. In other words, you would take a piece of fabric and fold it in half and then press it here, and that way you have a finished ruffle on both sides. I'll demonstrate both of those to you. So the very first thing we do, we're going to lift our foot and we're going to place the fabric underneath the foot, and I'm going to start by pushing it in as far as I can so that the needle will catch it. Now the other part of the foot over here, you can use the plate as a guide, or you can use this foot as a guide, and you could push the fabric all the way in. Most times I prefer just to use my guide on my throat plate to do my pleats. So now I'm going to lower this down, and I'm set for a straight stitch center, and everything's at the default setting for this sample. So I'm going to start by taking a couple of stitches, and you can see I've done 3 stitches, 4, 5, and 6. See on my 6th stitch how that pleater kicks in with the pleat. So then I'm going to do another, it feels like it's okay, so I'm going to slow my speed down so you can see this, and we're going to go, and there kicks another pleat. If you feel like your pleats are too close or too far apart, that's where you can begin to change your settings. You can change this dial and make a deeper pleat. You can change your stitch length, and you can do, if you make the stitch a little shorter, your pleats will be a little closer together too. Let's go a little bit. Go a little quicker. Now that we're going good. There, now it'll show you every 6 stitches the pleater will kick in a pleat. Alright. And when we're done, there's a beautiful ruffle. The other thing I recommend that you do is, I generally will take a few inches of fabric, like 24 inches, then I will pleat it and measure it. So if you have 2 feet of fabric, 24 inches of fabric, and it pleats down to 12 inches, you'll know exactly how much fabric you need in order to make the amount of ruffling that you need. So if you want to make a ruffle that's double-sided or finished on both sides, just simply take your strip. Remember to double it plus add your seam allowance twice. So if you want a 2-inch finished, you need to do, if you're taking a 1/4 inch seam, you need 4.5 inches. So that'll give you a 1/4 inch place on the top to sew it into whatever project you're working on. So it's essentially the same type of thing. I'm going to take my double folded strip, and I'll place it underneath the foot, and I push it forward up to, just about up to the needle. I'm going to start pretty slow because I want the feed dogs to pick it up. And once it gets going, does make a little bit of a funny noise, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. So now that we're going, we're going to take off a little faster. And when I get that done, now I have a nice ruffle. But the nice thing about this one is I don't need to finish the edge. It's double the width, so the fold makes for a nice finished edge.